Okay, grab a seat. I'm going to tell you something really, really shocking right now. I have been told, and people are saying, that Nick Saban doesn't like to hug people. Some reporting on this one from Barstool Sports, talking with former Georgia player and former Alabama commit Isaiah Wilson. He talked about his time at being committed to Alabama and why he was no longer committed to the Tide after he committed. Dean Legge from Dog Post, making you a smarter Georgia fan, and here's what Isaiah had to say. I was committed to Bama for a long time, and then someone said, well, what happened? He says, Nick Saban didn't give me a hug. Now, I know that's hard for people to believe, that Nick Saban's not a kind of a teddy bear. But in this case, it cost him one of the best players in the conference and a first-round draft pick. I wonder if Nick had to do it over again, would he hug Isaiah Wilson? Of course, Isaiah Wilson hugging Nick Saban is kind of an interesting thing with how small Nick is and how big Isaiah is. I wonder what that would be, what kind of hug that would be like. But when you fast forward to the school that Isaiah played for, did Kirby Smart give you a hug? And he said, yes. You better believe he did, was the quote. So different people, different types of recruiting styles. I don't think it's, there's no question that Nick has done, I'm not sure anyone's done a better job over an extended period of time in recruiting than Nick Saban in the history of college football. Bear Bryant was the quintessential recruiter in Southeastern Conference history. But Bear, they changed NCAA rules to stop what the Bear was doing. Nick's had to live underneath those rules. But things really haven't been the same in Tuscaloosa since another smaller person left, and that's Kirby Smart. When you look at that, Kirby's 17, 18, 19, and 20 classes, they've all been in the top 5. A couple of them were number 2, and then of course the 2020 cycle was the number 1 class. So, having covered, I've covered recruiting for 20 years, and there's a lot of different ways to recruit kids, and that Nick is not a hugger can't be a surprise, and that him not hugging people may turn them off isn't surprising either. But the reason why Kirby and Nick Saban, particularly those two, I would loop Urban Meyer in there, but he doesn't coach anymore. The reason why those two have been so successful on the field and in recruiting is because of their attention to detail. I've watched Nick Saban talk with recruits one-on-one in Zoom call. Well, what would now be called a Zoom call.
He is. Our quarterbacks actually like him better. Mac was a really good coach, a little more conservative than I like. All right, but Mac was one of those guys that, sometimes he always looked like he was really nervous.
And it's very professional. It's not laid back. It's shirt and tie. It's I don't know how else to put it. It's formal. But Kirby and them are a little bit more laid back. But don't confuse yourself. They are both extremely interested in the details of recruiting. And that means understanding people, understanding what someone wants, whether it's a parent, the prospect, the girlfriend, or the friend. And that right there has been the key to recruiting for such a long time. And that, when Alabama was completely dominating recruiting was when both Kirby and Nick were there. And now that Nick's gone, you're seeing this is a different world. Now, neither of them are total idiots like Jim Harbaugh, who, according to Isaiah, walked into his house with cleats on. We didn't do that as children. There's a lot of different reasons you don't do that when you have hardwood floors. Number one, you're going to wreck the hardwood floors over time. Number two, the sound. And then number three, you could just fall over. Cleats are hard. If you have any momentum at all, you're just going to slip and fall. I don't know what Jim Harbaugh is doing. But the fact of the matter here is that, that Nick doesn't hug and that Kirby is a hugger, or Kirby is a hugger at times, not all the time. But that's something that's, different ththings work for different people. And both those guys have proven how successful they can be and have been over time. And the question is, I think the real relevant question is, how much has Kirby leaving Alabama hurt Alabama? And I think the answer to that is a lot. And we'll see even more of that this fall when Georgia and Bama play. I wrote a little bit more about this. I'm going to send you to that story right now. You can click right here and read what I have to say about Nick and Kirby. It's a free article. Just go knock yourself out. Make sure you register for the newsletter, and we'll see you on Dog Post.